how will I know if I am on the right path? How can I know my Dharma? Will you please explain Dharma and tell how one can know what is one's Dharma? There are two levels of Dharma. One is absolute Dharma, the highest. And then another, the relative, to the relative world. Dharma connected with the relative world, worldly Dharma. The highest Dharma is to experience your own true nature, spirituality. Know thyself. That's the first and foremost, the absolute Dharma. As it said in the Bible, your first and foremost and the only Dharma is to seek the kingdom of God which is within. All the rest will automatically come. Then what next? As you are placed in the world, given certain responsibility, in the relative world, whatever responsibility is given to you, doesn't matter, big or small. Responsibility is responsibility. Within your capacity, your natural interest in it, serve the humanity with that. That means even there, not for your sake, but for the sake of serving the humanity. So that is the second level of Dharma. By doing this, you attain the first level of Dharma.
We continue our journey on the yoga of freedom through renunciation. The last chapter on the Gita. Whoa, this is a big one. How do you feel free when you renounce? Now, it's a big one because, like I said last week, freedom is the nice word, but renunciation is the difficult one. And here, Krishna explains how this can be done. He explains, because this is the struggle with a human being. What do you renounce? What do you do? What you don't do? How do you behave? What is right? What is wrong? These are the confusions of the mind. Now, Arjuna had to fight this battle, remember? But he didn't want to. But whether he wanted to or not, it was brought to him. It was brought to him. So he had to struggle because he didn't really want to fight his family. But if he didn't, then he could not right the wrong, because sometimes we have to act. And why we put into this position to act is for the good of many. And this is what now Krishna is telling him in the last chapter. For the good of many, you have to forget yourself. You have to renounce your own feelings towards it. So it's not about how you feel, how you don't feel. It's about doing the right action at the right time. Now, how I understood this many years ago is when Gurudev really taught me about renunciation. And sometimes even it's with good things. You know, you kind of like, I don't want, I want. And many years ago, when he was here, somebody asked at his satsang, can Nalanie give initiation? And, you know, it was about, 300 people at the temple, for some of you who remember that time. And I went, oh no, this can't be. I look at me, I'm a householder. I'm definitely not a monk. I have so much to learn. And I was really like, no. And then he said, let me ask Shanky, my husband that time, my late husband. And he asked, and my husband didn't know what to say. He said, he didn't even know what initiation was. So the next day, Gurudev comes to my home. He's sitting on the armchair and I'm sitting at his feet. And I said, Gurudev, last night you told them that I would give initiation. I said, you gave me my initiation on the phone. There was no ceremony. There was nothing. You just called me and gave it to me. I don't know how to do this. And besides, I can't do this. I don't really want to be there. I don't want the responsibility. I'm not good enough. You know how we always go when we first start. I can't, I can't. And he said, Nalanie, stop it. I was taken aback. He said, that's also ego. I said, what do you mean, Gurudev? I can't. It means you're thinking about you. You have to renounce you. If God asks, you do it. Uh-oh. And then he said, that's humility. That's not also humility. You think, I'm so humble. You know, he really put me in my place so many times in my life. And I'm so grateful for that. Because every time he did, I grew 5 years, I think, in karmic time. So anyway, so it's not only on the bad things you have to renunciate. Sometimes, do you see how I had to renunciate my attachment to not wanting to be in that position? So, and the first initiation I did, I remember I called him before. I said, I'm making up my own ceremony. No problem. And then after we finished, the three people that I first initiated, I called him back on the phone again. And I said, can they get your blessing? Because I didn't trust myself, right? Can I get your blessing? And he actually blessed them all. And I said, Gurudev, did I do a good job? He said, perfect. I was with you all the time. So here, what this next part that we're going through is similar to this. He's saying to Arjuna, Lord Krishna is saying to Arjuna, I know you don't want to do this, but it's come to you. But no, I'm with you all the time. What you are doing in service for the community or for anybody, because it's in service, I am here to back you. Even though it's a horrible job, I am here to back you. And remember that the divine is always with you. I'm always with you. So do not be afraid to do that which is so difficult for you to do. Okay? Because that's the renunciation. That is the most highest renunciation. To do something that is so difficult and you thought wasn't your path at all. And to be thrown into it and say you'll be looked after, to have complete faith. And I must say, 35 years later, that faith has taken me a long way in my own personal life. In the sense that received good graciousness that I never thought I would have, the experience of joy and peace and love and meeting such wonderful souls in my life. You know, I wrote to the lawyer yesterday of SIS, because you have to give accounts and everything, right? And I said, the biggest gift that life has given me is to have service in truth, knowledge, bliss. No amount of money could ever give me the life I've had to meet the people I have. And this is what it's all about. You remember the famous saying, good luck, bad luck, who knows? But maintain the peace through the goodness. All throughout, he's talking about goodness, right? And he's going to talk more about it today. So this is the premise of chapter 18. Renounce good, renounce bad. Just be. And throughout my learning life, and still at times I go, his plan is perfect, trust it. All its name, it's all its form, it's all its deed, and it's all for good. And you trust it. It's the way it was meant to be, and that's how you get the renunciation and the peace. Otherwise, the peace doesn't settle. Otherwise, your mind will be constantly disturbed. Okay, so he's now continuing to explain in 36. There are three kinds of pleasure, sukha. Sukha means pleasure. One of which, Arjuna, will surely lead a person to the end of all sorrow, by the way of steady and continuous effort. Pleasure that at first seems like poison, but in the end is nectar, is pure sattvic joy arising in the clear mind of self-realization. So let's make it really simple. So he says, people don't understand pleasure. We think that we, go out, have a few drinks, or do this, or if people are good to you, that's pleasure. He said, no. Real pleasure actually sometimes comes when you faced with a situation that feels like poison, right? It's poison to you. You don't want to do that action. You really don't. But if you just stick with it, and stick with it, what is initially poison, because of your understanding of how you should behave, will turn into nectar. And this is very easy to explain. When you work with your own mind, yogas chitta vritti nirodha tada drastuhe swarupe vastanam. When you restrain the mind stuff, hold back, and then you experience peace. So how do you restrain? You restrain your personal view for a greater view. Because we can get very emotional and very personal, but you try to refrain from that and go into the greater view, the divine will. And and that's why I love the Catholic prayer, thy will be done, thy will be done, thy will be done. And he's saying that feeling initially causes a lot of pain, and it is uncomfortable. Don't worry, stick with it. It will pass. It will bring you nectar in the end. It's like if you spend many hours, I can't get up in the morning, I can't change the way I think, but you practice, and one day you get up and you go, oh wow, that wasn't difficult at all. Playing the piano, learning how to swim. I remember when my son was a baby, didn't like the water, and one day my husband said, you know what, we'll just throw him in. He'll learn to swim. We threw him in, he cried a lot, threw him in again, cried a lot, and then his sister was laughing, and then he learned to laugh, and he never stopped loving swimming. Do you see? It's the same kind of idea. Sometimes on the spiritual path, you have to throw yourself at the hard work that you're doing at yourself in order to get the results. So don't be afraid of, oh, I can't get up in the morning. Okay, try. 1 minute every day gives you 30 minutes in a month. Remember that. 1 minute every day, and it's worth it. It is so worth it, because who are you healing ultimately but yourself? You don't want to spend the rest of your life living on this earth, being bombarded with all fears and anguish and other people's traumas. You want to be able to be bombarded with all of that and still keep still. That's what you want to do. It's not that it's going to stop. It's just that you learn to keep still amidst all the noise. So that's what he's saying. 38. The pleasure that arises when the senses contact the sense objects seems at first to be nectar, but the end is bitter as poison. This is rajasic pleasure of a desirous mind. So, when you're full of desire, I want, I need, and you get what you want. Oh, I need some drugs to help me get over the situation. Initially, it will help you. I mean, how many people who have depression, etc., come to me and they go, oh, I just can't take it. And I go, just be patient. No, give me something. There's no quick fix, but there's a quick fix if you want to look after yourself, if you want to work with yourself, if you want to work with your mind, but there is no quick fix. And when they can't work with themselves and they get impatient because their mind wants it right now, they'll try this, they'll try that, and they'll try that, and in the end they come back very poisoned, literally. I have seen with medication. And then it's a journey for them to slowly wean off the medication. The only way is to replace it with something else, and the only healer is the spirit. And spirit only understands the language of love and forgiveness. So you have to work with that in order to heal. And so that's what he's saying here. But if you don't work with yourself, it's rajasic and you will suffer. You will suffer. I have to have this before I can be happy. You will suffer. You will continue to suffer. Yes, it'll make you happy now, but in the long run, it will make you suffer. This attachment. 39. Pleasure that is delusive in the beginning and also at the end arises in a dull and listless mind, tamas. Its signs are oversleeping, laziness, and using intoxicants. And here he's saying, watch out for this. When you're following, remember, he's not judging, he's just giving us signposts, right? He's telling Arjuna, signposts, watch out for this. If you fall into depression, and if you fall into oversleeping, over laziness, watch it. That's tamasic. That will bring you down. It's very hard to come up once you're down. So watch for these qualities in you. And that's why when a person's depressed, the first thing you should do is give them pranayama to build the energy. And like I taught you guys yesterday at the Hatha class, you do movements to make them wake up. And at the retreat, I love my life, or do the prana awakening. You make them move right away to just move that energy, because if they don't move the energy, the prana in their body, it becomes stuck into like different parts in our body where we choke, we get stomach aches, we get headaches, and it all comes from, initially starting with a bit of depression. You can stop it in the beginning very quickly. When it's long there, it takes a long time. But these are the signs. And then you become tamasic. So for a tamasic person, what medicine would you use? Anybody? Anybody here? If you were a therapist, if somebody was tamasic and walked into your office, pardon? Wonderful. What else would you use? Pardon?
Walking.
Perfect. Working. Hatha. Perfect. Yes. Laughter, movement. And if they don't want to come to a Hatha class, what would you suggest?
Walking.
Pardon?
Walking, swimming.
Walking, swimming. What's your favorite sport? Tennis, squash, whatever. Dancing, anything. And then you give them the therapy, 20 minutes a day to start. Just to start, because if you give them more, they can't do it. And oh, so Lord, okay, you just did 10 minutes with me. I had a client the other day, and he goes, I can't, I don't feel like getting up. And I said, try 2 minutes. Nalanie, I can't. And it was so funny, because by 2 minutes, he was saying, he was coming with this face, and he was like, I love my life. And he started giggling. I said, you did it? You just laughed. Did you see yourself? No, but I can't do it. I said, you're laughing again. Let's try it again. So after we did it a few times, he goes, yeah, I do feel better. Do you see? They resist. It resists. The tamasic nature, the heaviness is very difficult to break through. They resist. They'll find everything to resist. But get them standing up. Get them, your family members. We were talking about it yesterday in our Hatha class, because one of the ladies that came was saying her husband's very tamasic. I was saying, just get him to do this. Just get him to move. Just get him to go, And then once you wind it up, it starts to go. And I said, you can do it, your husband a few times a day. He'll say, no, 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Stand up. Just stretch. Just stretch. Okay, come, put a music on. Just do a step of dancing with me. Very quickly, the energy moves. And then take a deep breath. You don't have to say pranayama, because many of them don't even want to know it. Just take a deep breath with me. Doesn't it feel good? Air in your body. And then breathe out. And then what happens? Oh, that felt quite peaceful. But you need to do this in a very quiet atmosphere, and that's highly charged with good vibrations. Otherwise, it's very difficult. So you see, doctors' offices are not very good for many people, because the energy there is a lot of sicknesses. It's difficult for people to get over it because of all the energies. But if you go to a place, even if you go out to the beach or Almeida Gardens and do these yourself, it really will make a difference. All right? So that's all he's saying. Watch the signs. They'll tell you what you need to do. And I always say, the best healing comes from you. because God is in all of us. And if you can help yourself, wow, that's amazing. Because once you learn to help yourself, you become a tool for God. You become a tool for the energy, universe, whatever you want to call it. You become God's instrument. So for that reason, you should learn to do it. 40. Now, this is really important to know. There is no one on earth or among the gods of heaven who is beyond the three qualities of nature. There is no one on earth or in the heavens that can escape these three qualities. Oh my God, you think, that's pretty depressing. I underlined it actually. This is pretty depressing. You can't, because we're on this earth, we will always face in our lives, sometimes when we're very rajasic, sattvic, our practices is to make us more peaceful. That's why we do the practice. But whether we like it or not, we're going to be confronted with all these things, whether you like it or not. You cannot escape it. So what do we learn to do? We learn, like Gurudev said, to surf the wave. Don't drown. It's going to happen. Storms are going to happen. There are times you're going to be very happy. There's times you're going to be very, very sad. Goodness. Don't get attached to them. Okay, so I'm very sad today. Tomorrow will be better. Thy will be done. Done. You don't like, I'm so sad. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't drown. I'm sad. Admit it. Get it out there. But tomorrow will be better. Express it, remove it, and then tomorrow you really are better, because all your practices will take you there. If you practice, you will get it. You will just get it. So, but we can't escape it. And like Gurudev said, if we really could escape the goodness, we wouldn't be on this earth anymore. We'd be gone. We'd be dead. Because we don't need the goodness anymore. We'll be in a place where we don't need these earthly qualities anymore. 41. Indeed, Arjuna, the qualities in one's own nature determine the appropriate role. Listen to this. This is really important, okay? Indeed, Arjuna, the qualities in one's own nature determine the appropriate role and duties for each person, whether a scholar or priest, leader or warrior, tradesperson or laborer. And it says, it doesn't matter where you come from, in what walk of life you come from, but notice your own nature. Be aware of who you are. Doesn't matter if you are Brahmin or school teacher. You will know what is your natural instinct, right? And in India we have the 4 caste systems, which have been so misunderstood. Here in the Gita points it out. You have the Brahmins, which are people who give, school teachers, intelligent people who teach, right? Spiritual knowledge, normal knowledge. Then you've got the Kshatriyas, the warriors, who protect the nation, police, and supposed to governments. I'm so sad that people don't do their jobs with love anymore. You know, all these people, they're supposed to look after us. And those are the warriors to keep us safe and to keep us protected, away from corruption, away from all those things. And those are the Kshatriyas to look after us. Then you have the Vaishyas, which are the people who do business, because you need economy to flow. If you don't have economy, you're begging on the streets all day long. So you need these people to flow and support the Brahmins and support the school teachers and support the warriors, so that the economy and everybody can grow together. And then you have the Sudras, the laborers, and they're just people who are karma yogis, really, and they'll do the jobs that most people don't want to do. Or they'll do the clerk's job, or the runaround job, or the cleaning. And I love their jobs because some jobs are so simple that it really has no mind stuff. So Sudras, these are called Sudras. And in India, they misunderstood it. So they talked about them as the workers were the untouchables. No, he's not saying that. He said the qualities in your own nature make you one of these. You're in one of these kind of sections, right? Make it really easy for yourself. Are you academic? Do you like to teach, or maybe you're all of the above? But again, scriptures are always misinterpreted, and that's why in India you have so much trouble. There's so much poverty because it's misunderstood. By nature, the priest or teacher, Brahmin, is inclined towards serenity, self-control, self-discipline, purity, forgiveness, as well as virtuous behavior, learning, self-realization, and faith in the eternal. Now he said by nature, the teacher or the priest should have these qualities: serenity, self-control, self-discipline, purity, forgiveness, virtuous behavior, yama niyama, right? Ahimsa, non-violence, truthfulness, non-greed, moderation in everything you do. This is the qualities that we need to be a teacher. And again, many teachers don't have these qualities. And they pretend to be teachers, but without these qualities, you don't make a good teacher. You need these qualities. And that's what he's saying. Or to be a priest, you need these qualities, right? That's why we're so disillusioned by people in robes these days, aren't we? Because, you've heard about Spotlight, the movie, all the pedophilia that goes on in different churches, religious organizations, right? They're not meant to be there. They shouldn't be priests, because they're in there for the wrong reasons. If you're really a priest, you have to live virtuously. You have to behave well. Here it points it out very clearly. So of course, in my life, I remember one time when I was traveling abroad, and there was this lovely young girl, and she said to me, she was very young. She said, I really, really want to do what you're doing. I said, wonderful. Now go learn. She said, but I've taken the Raj course with you, which is like a 6-day course. And I think I can do, and I want to do this. And I said to her, not yet. I said, what do you like to do? Then she mentioned dancing. She loved teaching children. So I thought, why don't you just take your time with this, and meanwhile do what you're really good at, teach children. And she said, you don't want me to do what you... I said, no, but this is a difficult path. It doesn't come right away. Right time, right place, right moment. Anyway, she did try to teach, and of course nobody turned up after the second time, and so she lost. Called me up. I said, not your time. What do you love to do? She said, I'm a dancer, teach children dance. So she did a children's play for her community. Kids were happy, she was happy, and the next time I saw her, she said, you're right, Nalanie, I'm not ready. So fast forward many years later, she sees me again. She's done a really good job as a school teacher. Amazing. She's excelled in the job. And I told her, now it's time for you to do Raj Yoga. Guess what she said? I don't really want to do that. I'm scared. I'm so comfortable being a school teacher. And I go, no, you can't be a school teacher anymore. Now that you've done the training for 20 odd years, now that you've done it, now you go and teach Raj Yoga. And she was scared. She was absolutely petrified. But she goes, I know, that should be my next move. I said, yeah, now it's, you see, you had the image many years ago, but you just weren't ready. Now you are. Now get the courage. When you grow too fast, too soon, it doesn't work. You have to develop patience. You have to develop, notice your own character. Am I moody? Am I always got a long face? Am I a depressed person? Am I a happy person? Am I always complaining? Notice those things. Work on yourself first. And she did. She did work on herself. Then she really studied Raj. I sent her a lot of information for her to learn because she was far away. But she really worked on herself. And it's amazing to see what she's achieved. But no, because you need the years to work on yourself. You need the years to just prepare yourself. Am I doing the work? Oh, everybody says I got very low self-esteem, so I'll build up my self-esteem. Everybody says I'm very arrogant, so I learn to be more humble. And this is why in the Guru columns, in the olden days when people went to study with the gurus, you know what? They used to make them do, kings and princes, for 12 years, be in the kitchen or wash clothes or do that. But I'm a prince. Sorry, you want to study spiritual knowledge? Learn humility first. Scrub doors. Do this. You have to learn a little bit of humility, right? Because if you're not willing to take on any job, then it's life. One day you may be very wealthy, next day you may be very poor, one day you may be loved so much, next day you may be hated so much. You need to be humble enough to accept the onslaught of whatever happens to you. And humility helps you to say, God's plan is perfect. But this is training. Life trains you. Remember what Gurudev told the girl when she went to him in the ashram, and she asked him, Gurudev, what if on the spiritual practice my head gets so inflated and my ego gets so big? And he said, don't worry, life will make sure it gives you a knock. And that's the way it works. And we get knocks till we become humble. And that's why we get knocks, is to teach us to be humble. Because sometimes with so much knowledge, we think we know it all. But it takes time. And because how do you know that? Look at where we've come back into life. We didn't come back in a monastery. We didn't come back there. We came back in a householder bodies where we have family and where we have bills to pay and we have people to look after. And suppose I say, I don't want to look after my family because now I want spiritual knowledge, so I'm going to go off for 8 months. And doesn't work like that. Do you see? You're running away. What is your Dharma? Your name Dharma. My Dharma, I've got family, kids. Do this first. Learn to do this well. And then go out there, because if you can look after your home, you have developed amazing, what Gurudev says, a real kind of siddhi. Siddhi is a power, because if you have managed to make your home a heaven, you have now developed the grace of the gods. The grace of the gods. And this is really so incredible, because where's all your problems going to come from? Where's it going to come from? The people you love most? The home? It's not going to come from a stranger. Why? For you to get stronger. And of course, when you go through this spiritual path, you get tested more and more. If your work is harder and harder and you're working on a higher frequency, you will get more and more attacked. Look at all the masters, right? All of them. They all suffered a lot. But why? Because they were working on a higher frequency, and people on a lower frequency could not see this frequency, so they had a battle with it because they thought they knew all, but they were just babies learning. They're just learning, but they think they know it all. So patience, humility for me is one of the greatest necessities on this path. Humility and a lot of patience. A lot of patience with lots of, sometimes you just have to allow things to happen and just wait, don't rush, wait, patience. And that takes time to develop in yourself, all right? So never rush. And as soon as you're ready, the gods will move you. They'll put you in such a dark place till you're really scrubbed and washed and you go, no more, I'm not doing this. And you literally change your entire life. I'm not doing that. I am here and I'm going to love every moment. I'm going to love everything that comes to me because it's for my learning. It's for my teaching. I got to be patient and allow myself to learn my weaknesses. Where do I fall in all of this? What do the gods want? I didn't know. I didn't want to be a teacher, but the gods wanted me to be a teacher. I just wanted to be a disciple and a student and, just be in the background. I really just wanted that. But never in my life was I allowed to. Even in school. Just happy to be part of the play. You got the major part. Just happy to be with my friends. No, you have to be in charge of this, students' union in school because your classmates trust you. I didn't want those jobs. They just came, and because I guess I was resisting my nature, you see? And I think a lot of us, when we resist our nature, we don't flow with the divine will till we get hit. And then we go, okay, I'll just listen, but first I must purify myself. I must do the work. Okay, we all have to do the work. I know everybody wants to hear in shortcuts, and that's why nobody likes to hear sometimes what I say, because it's work on oneself, but it's the best work you can do, because you become your best doctor, psychologist. So, and really the divine is in all of us. It really is in all of us. So let us trust that doctor inside of us, trust that kindness, work for kindness. That's why simply Master Shivananda, at the end of his day, taught us all, simply do good, be good, right? That way you have this ego in you. I'm self-realized. Oh my God. What's the point of being self-realized if you can't even be kind? Do you know? Hello? The scriptures are telling us, right? Hello, wake up. What you doing, So you have to look at these, and that's how scriptures help us. They guide us to look at ourselves, to look at our personalities, to see what we can clean up. And then when you do that, you really respect yourself. When you stop complaining, when you stop finding fault, when you stop doing many things, you're just like, every day you feel more and more free. The goodness will still hit you. It's not that life won't hit you, it will. There are days you're going to be sad, and it's okay, because you're still stable. It's okay, because you trust that whatever happens was the divine's will. And that's it. That's the true renunciation. There's a higher plan. God's plan is, haven't you heard every master say that? God's plan. So when you go through good time, God's plan is really perfect. You go through bad times, what do you say? God's plan is really, yes. That's it. They're even smiling on Zoom, see? Yes, it is. So, like good luck, bad luck? Perfect always, So long as you come from a pure intention, that is really important. Pure, humble, patient. If you come from that, never worry about what you're doing. Never. Because you know where you're coming from yourself. Nobody can ever read into your mind. Nobody. So you have to live with yourself at the end of the day. How many people come to me and see me, oh, Nalanie, nobody understands me. Nobody understands. You don't even understand yourself. How do you expect them to? So learn, isn't it true? Learn to understand yourself. You're acting like somebody you're not. Do that which is by your nature. You're trying to be somebody's nature. You want to be that star. You want to be that person who wrote that book, but that's not in your nature. What's in your nature? Follow that, and the gods will bless you 100%. And don't avoid your light also. If you have light, share it. That's another journey that people have to take. Like I took. I don't want to get into my light. It's scary. You have to do it. Otherwise you won't fulfill your human mission. Both ways, you see? So is that becoming clear? It's really all about empowerment of oneself by knowing where you're lacking and where you need to fill yourself up with. So here he starts to explain the Kshatriya, the leader or warrior, Kshatriya, is naturally inclined to courage, vigor, firmness of mind, resourcefulness, generosity, leadership, and resolve not to flee, but to persevere in the midst of battle. Because Arjuna, what does he want? He wants to run away in the midst of battle. You can't. His job is to fight the battle. So that's what he's saying. You were born a warrior. You have no choice. This is your natural calling. You have no choice. You're born a leader. You are born a warrior. So you need to be courageous. You need to be very firm of mind, resourceful, generous, leadership qualities, and when things go wrong, I can't handle it, I can't handle it, I can't handle it. No, you can't do that. You got to stay strong. And that's a Kshatriya. 44. The tradesperson, Vaishya, is naturally inclined toward farming, dairying, and other business trades. And working people by nature are inclined towards service. So business should be done with service foremost. So working people by nature are inclined to service. And that's why all the masters tell us, serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize, do good, be kind, and be compassionate, right? That's the serve, love, give. And that is what you see, in all the different areas, same teaching, right? You all do it with what is natural, with the right way of doing things. And now you see why our world is not going right. You can see why greed has taken over, and it's all about money, 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 money. Arrogance has taken over. It's all about power, power, power. Where's the service? And this is what we try to bring back in the old-fashioned teaching by just being humble and showing people, no, it's no big deal for me to clean a toilet, and no big deal for me to mop a floor. No big deal, because I was very arrogant, and now I love it. So you see, you just have to grow out of your own head stuff, arrogance, pride. You have to learn to be humble. Anyone can attain perfection by devoting himself to the work that comes most naturally. I will explain how. When you do the work that by your nature is your calling, you are worshipping the creator of all beings who is omnipresent. What does omnipresent mean? Present in you, present now, and thus you attain perfection. If you just do the work that by your nature is your calling. What is your calling? To be a chef, service. What is your calling? You know your calling. What is your calling? What is your calling? So be proud of what your calling is, and then you'll be working with God. You'll be working with God. What is your calling? Serving as a nurse, right? When you're not allowed to do your work as you would like to, you feel perfection doesn't happen. But when you can do the work allowed to do it really the way you want to do it, then you balance in that perfection. So when you see things are not going right in the profession you are in, right? And your aim is for perfection, means you have to move where you are, or you have to really think about it seriously, because your profession is not right for you. But life teaches you, is this where they want to place you, or they want to place you somewhere better? It's always for the better, by the way. It's never for the worst. If you look at your life later on, you'll say, I know why that happened to me, to push me to my best, not to the worst. And look at 47. Now, he just said one thing, and now he's saying something really interesting. It is better to do your own Dharma imperfectly than to excel at another's Dharma. Whoever accepts the duty of his own nature is free from sin. What does this mean? It is better to do your own nature, your own Dharma means duty in life, whatever you were born to do. Better to do it, even though it's not perfect. Doesn't matter. But just do that. Because when you do that, when you do another person's Dharma, because this is what I've noticed in life. People are given a certain Dharma, like housewife, right? For example, I remember my first time I gave a talk many, many years ago, and we had 12 people in the room, and there was a lady, somebody said, I'm doing this, somebody else said, I'm doing that. And this lady said, oh, I'm just a housewife. And I go, what? How dare you say that? Do you know how many things a housewife has to do? How many bills you have to juggle? Kids here, school there, plays here, ballet classes here, piano lessons there, take a lift. What? Cooking, shopping, just a housewife? I think it's the hardest one of all. I said, do you enjoy it? And she looked at me, she smiled, she said, I love it. Then why are you unhappy? And she said, because everybody else says I should be more ambitious. Why? Do you see what I'm saying? I should get a job outside, I should be a career woman, I should be this. But Nalanie, I'm so happy being home with my kids, but I feel like I'm not good enough constantly. And I said, you tell them. Bringing up a child is you could be bringing up the next saint in life. Working for a company, when you get old, they don't want you. They'll throw you out and they'll forget about you. You can work 50 years with a company, the moment say goodbye, they got another manager, they don't even know who you are anymore in the street. Am I right? Right? You've given your life to a lot of financial work, etc. Once they find somebody, they don't bother with you anymore. And this is the truth. But you bring up a child, or you build up a home with peace and love, that goes on for generations. What could be better? And this is what happened this generation, right? Mother works, father works, nobody's home. And I'm seeing the products of these kids when they grow up. So, well, my mom was never around for me, my dad was never around for me. They just came home and gave orders. And all they wanted was love. Even if you're working, quality time when you come home I was working, but as soon as I got home, I cooked for the kids, sat with the kids. Quality time is what they want. They just want you to sit and listen. That's all. Or do their homework with them, or talk, or ask them how the day was, and not have your mind everywhere. And children are really good teachers of this, because I remember when my mind went everywhere, they used to say, Mom, you're nodding your head, but you're not listening. Happened to any of you? You're not listening. You're not hearing what I'm saying. And I go, yeah, you're right. I'll sit down, because while I'm doing this, I'm not listening. Got other thoughts in my head. Great teachers. They put you in your place. They were my best teachers, honestly. Not listening again, Mom. That's lying, Mom. Okay, I am lying. Sit down. It's true, right? So kids are and even your partners. I mean, not only children, your friends, your partners know when you're present, and when you are not present, they know it and they feel that. So when you do your own Dharma, be proud of what you are. Do the best you can, because the gods will be working with you. But when you want to be somebody else, and you're not born to be somebody else, it works against you. And many people are doing that today, taking on careers that don't belong to them. They really don't. So nothing works. Everything goes wrong. They go one career, another doesn't, because that's not what they were born to do. They were born to follow this. Okay, so that's what it says. 48. If you perform the duties of your own nature imperfectly, there is no reason to abandon those duties and begin something else. See, even if you're not perfect, don't abandon it. Sometimes, even if you perform the duties of your own nature, even then, sometimes things go wrong, right? You might fail, something might get wrong. There's no reason to abandon it, abandon your Dharma because something goes wrong. Because people, sometimes when it goes wrong, I'm not good enough for it, I knew I wasn't meant to do it, but I don't know why I did it, No. And he answers why. For all your undertakings at the outset are enveloped by evil, as smoke surrounds fire. And here he's saying, when you really work for yourself, your own Dharma, your calling, etc., there's going to be obstacles. He calls it evil. There's going to be obstacles. You're going to have obstacles. Just because you have obstacles, it doesn't give you a reason to stop doing what you were born to do. Obstacles will come. He said, everything in life will bring obstacles, right? Buddha, the Four Noble Truths, there is suffering.
They say it's better to do your own Dharma imperfectly than someone else's perfectly. But if you don't know what your Dharma is, and you're doing something else perfectly, might that not be your Dharma?
Very good question. That is then, because you don't know your Dharma, so that something else could be the Dharma,
right.
because you don't know. Yes. And that doing that job perfectly is guiding you to show you that, wow, that is your Dharma. Very complicated, good question. I've been asked that before. So you're actually guided. Okay, since you don't know, you do this job really well, I'm giving it to you. So now you know you're doing this job really well, continue. It is your Dharma. It is your Dharma. So good, really good question. And here you can see in this chapter, he's really advising Arjuna to look within. What is your personality? Like Gurudev always said, know yourself. Best psychology.